Disclaimer. The following is a what-if fan-fictional piece. This franchise, along with its characters, are the rightful property of the following respected companies: Hassle-Free Productions, Davis Films, The Electric Shadow Company, Edward R. Pressman Film, and Pressman Film. Be advised that this alternative version of the story only acknowledges the events from the first and original film only. Hope you all enjoy this story. On the eve of their wedding, Sarah and her fiancé, Michael, were walking through the park, their laughter mingling with the chirping of the birds. They stopped by a particularly large, statuesque crow that seemed to stare at them intently. Remembering what happened to her friends Eric Draven and Shelley Webster, Sarah can't help but feel like something is wrong. She tried her best to shake the feeling when she and her husband-to-be are about to exchange their vows. The next day, on their big day, as they exchange their I-do's, a group of thugs known as the Hell's Gate Keepers burst into the church, wielding guns and knives. They shoot Michael point-blank in the chest, and then proceed to stab Sarah, leaving her lifeless on the altar. The church erupts in chaos as panicked guests scramble for cover. Meanwhile, the statuesque crow that had been watching them earlier takes flight, and chooses to land on a high balcony to watch the chaos unfold carefully. The police arrive shortly after, but it's too late for Sarah and Michael. As they begin to investigate the crime scene, one of the officers named Albrecht notices the crow perched on the balcony. He recalls the events from when Eric Draven had came back from the dead to avenge the death of his fiancée Shelley Webster and himself. He approaches the crow, speaking softly to it.
"You're gonna bring one of them back, aren't you?"
As the sun begins to set, Sarah's lifeless body is carried away from the church. Albrecht was approached by Police Chief Aaron Brooks.
Albrecht, you know the young woman, right?
Sarah? Yes. I've known her since she was a little girl many moons ago. We've met when her friends Eric Draven and Shelley Webster were murdered on Devil's Night.
I remember that night. It was a tragedy. And now, this. Are you gonna be able to handle this case given how close you are to one of the victims?
Chief, I'll do whatever it takes to bring justice to Sarah and Michael, even if it means making a deal with the devil himself.
He looked up at the bird, perched on the balcony.
And I'm pretty sure Eric Draven would have wanted the same.
1 year later, on the would-be anniversary of Sarah and Michael's wedding day, the very same magical crow can be seen taking flight towards the familiar cemetery that is the final resting place of Eric Draven, his fiancée Shelley Webster, and now to the more recently departed Sarah and her would-be husband Michael. It hovers above their more graves for a moment, as if to pay its respects, before perching itself on the tombstone of Eric Draven. Then it leaps over to Shelley Webster's tombstone before it finally lands on Sarah's tombstone. The crow starts pecking at the tombstone for a few moments, before it caws loudly, summoning Sarah back from the dead. The dirt covering Sarah's grave starts rumble and vibrate from the force of her pushing her casket open. Sarah slowly climbs out of her grave gasping for air, and panic-stricken, disoriented, and confused. Her surroundings are unfamiliar, and she feels a strange sense of weightlessness. As her eyes adjust to the dim light, she notices the crow perched on her tombstone, staring intently at her.
"Eric?"
she whispers, her voice hoarse from disuse. The crow caws again, and Sarah's memories come flooding back to her after placing both hands on the magical bird, reliving the tragedy through its eyes. She remembers the church, the Hell's Gate Keepers, the evil hedonistic street gang, Michael's lifeless body, and her own murder.
"What do you want from me? Why did you bring me back?"
While Sarah is still reeling from the shock of her resurrection, the gatekeepers are hanging out a local bar not too far from Sarah's location. There were 5 members total that consist of 3 men and 2 women. Their leader is a man named Damien. One of the women was his girlfriend named Helena. The other 2 men were named Dante and Rocco, and the other woman was named Kitty, who was Rocco's girlfriend. They are all heavily tattooed and dressed in black leather. The group is having celebratory drinks to commemorate their successful operation to killing innocent people and causing other forms of mayhem throughout the city. Meanwhile, Sarah starts making her way to her old apartment that she and Michael had with 2 roommates. She actually walked a few blocks over from the cemetery till she finally reaches her old apartment building, which appears to be empty and abandoned. Could the gatekeepers have something to do with that? Sarah decides to investigate. She finds a way inside through a window and slowly creeps up the stairs, carefully avoiding any creaking floorboards. She finally reaches her old apartment and finds it empty as far as bodies are concerned, but all the furniture and other personal items were still there. The apartment was a mess. It appears to be ransacked, so something did happen here. Were her roommates attacked? Where did they go? As she starts searching the apartment, she finds old pictures of her and Michael. As soon as she picks them up, she relives old memories of all the good times she had with her fiancé in her head. She can feel heartbreaking more and more with each happy memory she revisits, knowing she won't be able to have any more due to damage the gatekeepers have done to her and the love of her life. Sarah breaks down in tears as she drops to her knees. The more she cried, the more her thirst for vengeance grows.
I will make these dipshits pay for what they've done to us, Michael.
Sarah starts to vow as the crow that brought her back perches on the sill of an open window.
I promise.
The crow cocks its head before letting out some caws as if to tell Sarah that it's time and she needs to make ready for the task at hand. Sarah makes her way into her bedroom, which was also a mess. When she reaches the closet, she pulls out her black leather jacket that Michael had gotten for her birthday that she lays out on her bed. Next, she digs into her dresser drawers where she finds a black tank top and a pair of black skin-tight leather pants. Next, she finds her dark brown leather belt with a brushed finished steel buckle, and finally, as far as wardrobe is concerned, she grabs her knee-high black boots. After putting them on, she zips them up before making her way to her bathroom where she finds her makeup kit. She starts to cover her face with the white foundation, then using her black eyeshadow to cover the areas around her eyes and over her brows. Next came the 4 points, 2 pointing up from the brows and 2 pointing down from the lowest point of the eyeshadow. Then comes the black lipstick, and finally using her black lip liner to draw the exaggerated smiling points on both sides of her mouth. When all said and done, Sarah takes a good look in a tall mirror in her bedroom, and she is not only surprised, but also pleased with what she sees.
To honor you, Eric.
She says aloud as she admires her makeup, which looks flawless, making her pale skin stand out even more, and her eyes appear darker, more seductive. She puts on a black leather choker with a large silver pendant around her neck. She glances at her crow.
So, what do you think?
Sarah is then being led by the crow, who is helping her locate her first victim. Her newfound power has her running like a pro athlete, which also allows her to leap from rooftop to rooftop like her friend Eric before her. Her movements are so effortless she can feel herself getting stronger and stronger with each passing step. Moments later, the crow helps Sarah locate her prey, which was Dante, who was spotted leaving from a strip club.
Ah. Feeling lonely, you sorry little bastard? Don't worry. I know a nice warm place for you and your little buddies.
Dante is walking through an alleyway while Sarah follows from the rooftops. He stops for a minute to fire up a stogie while Sarah takes advantage of situation by taking a swan dive off of a multi-story building, landing on a stack of discarded cardboard just 30 feet away from Dante, who receives a call from Rocco. As Sarah slowly approaches Dante, she wipes the dust from her clothes as if she just came from a long day of work and says,
"Oh. Look who it is. If it isn't the sorry little bastard who wrecked what was supposed to be a very special day."
Yo, Rock, I gotta call you back, man.
Dante informs his buddy as look of fear mixed with confusion washes over his face.
What the hell are you supposed to be?
Sarah merely smiles at him before saying,
"Oh, I'm just here to send a message. You know, on behalf of all the people you've hurt."
Dante's expression changes to one of anger as he takes a step forward and says,
You're talking to the wrong guy, bitch.
I want you to tell me a story. About a wedding you and your crew crashed a year ago. You were all kinds of rowdy and loud. You had no respect for anyone. And in the end, you left a girl dead, along with her husband-to-be.
As she says this, her voice becomes harder, more accusing.
Girl, you are bugging.
You know what you've done, Dante. And I know what you deserve.
Dante nails Sarah with a punch to her mouth, knocking her down, but she instantly gets right back up.
Ouch. You're gonna need to do a lot better than that.
Oh. Believe me, bitch. I can give it to you rough if that's what you prefer.
Dante says as he pulls out a pocket knife.
Let's do this, big guy.
Sarah says through gritted teeth. Dante tried to stab Sarah, but she was too quick for him. There was a little bit of back and forth battle between the two until finally Sarah raises her hand, allowing Dante to stab her right through the palm. Dante then pulls the knife out right before he stabs Sarah right through the side of her neck. Thinking the fight was won by him, he takes a step back to admire his job well done. Sarah grabs the knife, pulls it out of her neck, and lets Dante watch both of her stab wounds instantly heal right before his very own eyes.
What the fuck are you?
Dante's voice quivered with fear and disbelief as he stared at Sarah, her wounds having healed before his eyes. She smiled back at him, the blood stopped trickling down her neck.
I'm your worst fucking nightmare, Dante. The wrong one you chose to fuck with.
With those words, she lunged forward, grabbing him by the throat and slamming him against the brick wall.
And you, my little friend, are just the first of many.
Dante struggled for breath, his eyes wide with terror. Sarah takes the knife and starts stabbing her attacker in the gut a few times. As he starts coughing up some blood, Sarah looks Dante in the eye.
Don't worry. Your friends will be with you soon,
she says before finally stabbing him right in the heart, feeling the life leaving his body, giving her a sense of satisfaction and vengeance. Sarah's crow perches on her shoulder.
We're just getting started, love. There are more where that came from.
She replies with a satisfied smirk before wiping the blood from her knife on Dante's jacket. The crow caws in agreement, flapping its wings. Sarah folds the knife and pockets it for safekeeping and takes a deep breath. The alley falls silent, the only sound the slow drip of blood from Dante's corpse. She turns to the crow.
Let's go. We've got more work to do.
The crow leads Sarah to an arcade hangout about a few blocks over from her last location. The place was called Sylvia's Arcade, which was named after the owner, who is a large, heavy-set woman that wasn't a gatekeeper, but she does have ties with them and their boss, or bosses. Sylvia's Arcade business is a front for her real business, which is arms dealing. The crow flies to a no parking street sign right outside of the front entrance. Meanwhile, back at the scene of Dante's murder, police had arrived on scene with the coroners collecting the deceased thug.
Dante!
Officer Albrecht begins to identify the blood-soaked corpse.
He's a member of the Hell's Gatekeeper Street Gang.
He informs his partner as Police Chief Aaron Brooks approaches him, able to overhear Albrecht's conversation.
So what do we have here, Albrecht?
Not sure yet, Chief. It would appear that our old vigilante could be back. Or we may have a copycat on our hands. Right now all we have is a slain member of the Gatekeepers.
How do we know it wasn't a rival gang that put him down?
Well,
Albrecht's voice trails off as he looks over at the very same wall Sarah had slammed Dante into, where she left a very familiar calling card. It was a crow insignia drawn out with Dante's blood.
Fair enough, Albrecht. We'll have to look into this further. As you were.
Chief Brooks lets the officer finish his report as he conducts his own investigation of crime scene. Albrecht at first had the thought of what if Eric Draven was brought back from the dead again, but then he remembers Sarah's wedding and the massacre that had occurred there, and the crow that was there witnessing the horrific tragedy that took place.
Chief, if there's nothing further for me.
Think we got it covered here, Albrecht. You're dismissed.
The officer nods with acknowledgement before taking his leave. Meanwhile, back at the arcade, Sarah walks up to the front door. She can see Sylvia counting her take for the day. Due to the late hours, the place was empty, so Sarah slowly knocks on the glass door.
Hey! Sorry, Goth Queen. We're closed.
Sylvia yells in response, but Sarah knocks again, so Sylvia picks up one of her pistols.
Fuck off, meth head.
And with that, Sarah headbutts the glass door, completely shattering it to bits.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
The large woman hollers before placing her hand over her chest, making sure she isn't having a heart attack.
Word on the street is you sold some weapons to a bunch of gatekeepers.
Sarah begins to interrogate as she pulls out the pocket knife she took from Dante.
Look familiar? By the way, Dante says your little dinner date is cancelled.
Bitch. I don't know what you're talking about. So fuck off, or take a hole in the head. Your choice.
Sylvia threatens as she raises her pistol.
I'll take the hole in the head.
Your funeral, girly.
Sylvia says before taking her shot that hits Sarah in her forehead. Sarah lets out a sinister laugh while Sylvia watches her bullet wound instantly heal.
Oh! Fuck me.
Sylvia cries before taking another shot at Sarah's shoulder, which instantly heals. Before Sylvia could try for a third shot, Sarah grabs her hand and twists it in quick sickening motion to crack the woman's wrist before taking the pistol out of her hand.
Oh my god!
Sylvia screams in agonizing pain.
Oh god! Please don't kill me! Don't kill me! I'll tell you anything!
As I was saying, weapons. You sold some to a bunch of punks. That crashed my wedding. Where do you keep them?
In the back. There's a storage room. They're in a crate. Labeled toys.
Sylvia cries out between sobs of pain.
Good. You've been a big help.
Sarah makes her way to the back while Sylvia continues to scream at her.
Take M. Take M all. Take the whole fucking cash.
Sarah checks the storage room in the back, and surely she spots the toys crate Sylvia told her about. Sarah also notices the gas cans, which brings a smile to her face. She starts dumping out one of the jerry cans in the storage room, then takes another with her back out to the arcade floor.
Okay, ma'am. Your job now, if you value your miserable existence, is to tell me where the rest of these little shit brains hang out or lay their heads at night.
Sarah demands as she dumps the gasoline all over the arcade floor.
Oh god! Please don't kill me!
Oh, I won't. Not if you cooperate.
They're all over. They're punks.
Where?
Damien and his girl Helena. They live at his brother's bar in an upstairs apartment.
Sylvia confesses.
Is the brother a gatekeeper as well?
No. He's legit.
Sylvia admits, before continuing.
And, Rocco. And his girl Kitty. They stay at an older apartment complex a few blocks over from Damien and his girl.
Thank you.
Now, please. Don't kill me.
Don't worry. I need you alive to do one last thing for me, or I'll break your other hand. I need you to send those little home wreckers a message for me. Tell them, here comes the bride. To take your lives. And that, Sarah, sends her best wishes.
Sarah makes her demands clear before making her exit out of the arcade while Sylvia issues one last warning.
Oh, I'll tell Em about you, don't worry. They're gonna have some real fun with your slutty ass.
You may want to run to the emergency exit.
Sarah warns as she aims Sylvia's pistol towards the ground where a small puddle of gas can be found inside the arcade. Sylvia's eyes widen as she realized the smell of gasoline had filled the room.
Oh shit.
She yells, struggling towards the exit as Sarah takes her shot. The angle of the bullet's impact caused a small spark, which was enough to ignite the fuel on the floor, and the arcade explodes in a fiery blast. The heat is intense as flames engulf the building, but Sarah is long gone, and Sylvia barely makes it out by the skin of her teeth. Sarah was walking through a nearby alley when she hears a familiar voice stopping her dead in her tracks.
Freeze! Don't move!
She slowly turns around to see her old friend, Officer Albrecht.
Sarah?
Albrecht calls to her, hoping she would confirm her identity. Sarah was hesitant at first, but finally she responds.
Yes. Albrecht, it's me.
Man, I knew this day would come. Especially given with everything we've been through. With Eric.
Look, Albrecht. With all due respect. We both know you cannot stop me. And I can't rest till I set the wrong things right.
Albrecht sighs, but he knows Sarah is not wrong.
Yeah, you're right. Go on. Get out of here. We should catch up later.
We will. Thank you.
Not again.
Albrecht mutters to himself as he starts to make the call to the local fire department. Sarah was running through a nearby back alley street when she accidentally bumps into a young woman.
Oh God. I'm so sorry.
Sarah's eyes widen with surprise and relief as she realizes that the woman is one of her old roommates named Brianna.
Brianna? My God, is that you?
Who are you supposed to be? And I'm sorry, but do I know you?
Bri. It's me. Sarah.
Very funny bitch. Sarah is gone.
Sarah begins to rub the makeup from her eyes in hopes to convince her friend.
Recognize me now?
Sarah? My goodness. But how?
Brianna wraps her arms around Sarah, holding her tight as she returns the warm embrace.
Oh, Bree. It's long story.
Sarah says with relief and a sense of accomplishment for finding her friend.
Okay. You can tell me on the drive home. I'm parked just around the corner.
During the drive back Brianna's place, Sarah starts asking her friend about everything she missed out on.
So, Bree. What happened to our old place?
Brianna hesitates at first, but after a lone tear streams down her cheek, she finally responds.
Sandra and I were attacked by this gang of punks. She didn't make it due to her sacrificing herself to save my life.
Sarah's heart breaks at the news, but she's relieved that Brianna survived.
I've been staying with my boyfriend James at his place. So how about you? We saw you and Michael. How are you here?
You know my friend Eric? Remember the stories I told you about him? About the crow that brought him back?
Brianna takes a moment as relief from knowing for sure that this is her friend washes over her. She finally responds.
Wait. You mean to tell me that a crow brought you back?
Yeah. And it brought me back to make things right.
She pauses for a moment, reflecting on the events that led her here.
I've been tracking down those punks that took Michael and I out. If they're the same assholes that got to Sandra too, well, may God do with them as he sees fit once I'm finished with them.
Meanwhile, Sylvia, the former arcade owner, is at a bar, which is also the safe house for the masterminds in charge of the gatekeepers. A couple who are responsible for all the chaos and destruction that occurs in the city. A man named El Diablo and his girl Ursula. Their enforcer, Phoenix, makes his downstairs to get Sylvia, but as soon as he touches down he sees Damien marching with authority. Phoenix nods towards the bar, letting Damien know to meet him and Sylvia there.
Okay guys, one at a time, and ladies first.
All right, Phoenix. Some painted up bitch torched my arcade to the ground and wants me to deliver a message to your whole crew.
Yo! That must be the bitch that took out Dante.
Ha! What?
Yeah. Word on the street is somebody turned him into a Halloween decoration.
Alright, both of you, come with me.
Phoenix leads the two visitors upstairs to meet with their superiors.
Apologies for the interruption. But we have Damien, one of your gatekeepers, and our resident arms dealer Sylvia here to see you.
Thank you, Phoenix.
So, lady and gentlemen, what do you have for me?
Some painted up wench torched down my arcade. She destroyed the weapons cache that we had there. And she wants me to deliver a message to your whole crew.
Which is?
She says, here comes the bride. To take your lives.
Very amusing. Anything else, Sylvia?
Yeah. She had a bird with her. A black crow. And finally, she wanted me to tell that Sarah gives you her best or some shit like that.
Sylvia's words hang in the air, and the tension in the room becomes palpable.
A crow, you say? And this Sarah, is she one of us or someone else?
I've never seen her before, so couldn't tell ya.
Okay. And what you got, brother?
It's Dante. Someone carved him up like a jack-o'-lantern.
Damien answers matter-of-factly.
And we found this.
He says, handing over a picture of the crow insignia that was drawn with Dante's own blood. Phoenix takes it from him, studying it closely, before handing it over to Diablo.
It's not one of ours, but it's similar to the insignia we've seen on some of the freelancers.
Wait. You think the Sarah character might be the one who was killed on her wedding day, baby?
You know that wedding massacre, as they dubbed it? It was all over the news.
I'll check the cemetery, snap some pics, let you know what I find.
Please do, Phoenix.
A girl and her bird. Sounds like the one who flew over the cuckoo's nest, huh, Sil?
Diablo jokes, and the group share a laugh together for a good minute, before Diablo pulls out his gun to shoot Sylvia right in the forehead, killing her instantly.
Phoenix is gonna have a hell of a time chopping up all that meat.
Ursula says, causing Damien to look at both her and Diablo with wide eyes in complete shock and disgust.
What's wrong, Damien? Got a problem with our voracious appetite?
No, sir, no problem at all. Just never thought you two were into that sort of thing.
Oh, honey.
Ursula says, resting a comforting hand on Diablo's shoulder.
Brother, you'd be surprised what one will do in order to survive. Or to simply have a good meal.
Besides, it's not like they're human anymore, right?
She asks with a wink and a nod to Sylvia's corpse. Meanwhile, back at Brianna and James' apartment where she and Sarah are getting settled in, Brianna calls for James.
Baby, I'm home. And you won't believe who's with me.
James makes his way to the living room to greet his girl and their guest.
Hey, babe.
James stops dead in his tracks when he sees Sarah, who had washed the rest of her makeup off with the kitchen sink.
Oh my God. Sarah? But we saw you. And Michael?
I know, James. It's a long story.
I'll explain later, baby. Sarah needs a place to stay, so that's why I'd brought her here.
Oh, it's cool, guys. I can always go back to our old apartment since it's been abandoned.
No, Sarah. It's okay. You're more than welcome to stay as long as you need to.
James insists very hospitably. The very next night, after catching up with the lovely couple, Sarah makes ready to hunt down more of the gatekeepers.
You sure you have everything for your mission, Sarah?
Not quite. Still need to put my war paint on.
I have a spare makeup kit in the guest's bathroom.
Brianna nods towards the bathroom, which Sarah heads to before putting on her war face.
Why that face?
To honor my friend Eric. May he rest in peace.
After Sarah responds, Brianna pulls her in for a warm embrace.
Please be careful out there. I've missed you so much.
Brianna tells Sarah as tears start to stream down her cheeks.
You're gonna make my face run.
Sarah jokes, so the two friends can share a laugh together.
Sorry. Good luck out there. Give those gutless bastards hell.
Meanwhile, Phoenix had snapped a few pictures of the gravestone and sent them to Diablo and Ursula.
Looks like we got us a lead.
Phoenix says, talking on the phone with the power couple who have him on speakerphone.
Solid work, Phoenix. We'll talk strategy when you get back.
Roger that.
Phoenix replies before hanging up. Moments later, as Sarah is on the hunt for the rest of the gatekeepers, she spots one of them coming out of a liquor store. It's Rocco, and he can be seen handing his girl Kitty a bag of food as she sits on the passenger side of his car. After Kitty takes the bag, Rocco puts a case of beer in the trunk of the car. Sarah thought she blew her chance taking down the evil couple, but as luck would have it, Kitty buys her a window of opportunity.
Damn it, Rock. You forgot the chips. Let me grab those real quick.
Kitty says before exiting out of the car. Sarah quickly makes her way to the car and gets in to sit in the passenger seat.
This ain't no taxi.
Rocco says, pulling his gun out, but gets cut off when Sarah holds her pocket knife up to his throat.
Shut up. I'm taking this car.
Over my dead body.
And with that, Sarah slices his throat, causing him to choke on his own blood. Kitty makes her way back to the car and notices her man not being in the driver's seat, although the keys were in the ignition. Kitty can see Rocco's body lying in the back seat, thinking he must have fallen asleep.
Wow, Rock. That better not be an issue when we get home.
She jokes as she makes her way around to the driver's side. Once Kitty gets settled and she notices a strange smell in the car, so she tries to get a good look at Rocco, but Sarah pops up, pulling Kitty's head back against the headrest and holds Rocco's gun to her head.
What the? Who the hell are you supposed to be?
Here comes the bride. To take your life.
Oh, come on. That's not funny.
I'm not here for a laugh. I'm here for a nice drive. To the docks. Now.
Sarah forces Kitty to drive while she keeps the gun aimed at her head. After what seems like an eternity, they finally reach the docks. Sarah forces Kitty to turn off the car before duct taping Kitty's head to the headrest.
So what's this all about?
Well, Kitty.
Sarah begins as her crow perches on a nearby shipping crate.
You and your crew crashed a wedding. A year ago. A bride and a groom had just exchanged their I-dos.
Kitty's eyes widen in realization.
Oh my God. It's you. You're her. The bride, but I gutted you dead.
That's right. And here I am. To return the favor.
Sarah says as she duct tapes Kitty's hands to the steering wheel.
You and your man should have left well enough alone.
Sarah continues as she fires up the car.
But since you want to be this badass gangster.
She trails off before getting a brick from the trunk, to which she duct tapes to the gas pedal, causing the car's engine to rev up a storm.
I gonna snuff you out like the mafia would. Say hi to Dante for me.
And with that, Sarah manages to quickly shift the car into drive, causing it to dramatically peel out before taking off, sending Kitty and her lifeless boyfriend towards a pier. The car launches off the pier and lands into the deep, dark depths of the ocean. Sarah stands there for a moment, watching the car sink as the water slowly engulfs it. Kitty's lungs start to fill up with the salt water as she tries desperately to free herself, but it's too late. The lady gatekeeper has drowned. The crow caws triumphantly as it takes flight, landing on Sarah's shoulders.
We still have 2 left to go, my friend. 2 more members to send to their graves.
Little did Sarah realize, Phoenix had witnessed the events from a safe distance. As Sarah left the scene, Phoenix decided to call Diablo and Ursula, letting them know what had just took place.
Sarah just killed Kitty and Rocco. We need to find her quick before she kills anyone else.
Phoenix said with urgency in his voice. Moments later, with the help of her crow, Sarah will locate Damien and Helena's safe house that is above his brother's bar, as Sylvia had described before her untimely demise. Sarah and her crow can see the couple in their bedroom from a neighboring rooftop. Damien and Helena were enjoying some cocktails before they started making out passionately. Sarah's heart races with anger as she thinks back to the intimate moments she and Michael had shared together before their wedding day when they were gunned down. Sarah leaps across towards the open window of the couple's bedroom.
Baby! Wait, did you hear that?
Helena asks her love before Sarah's crow flies into the bedroom to do a couple of go-arounds while cawing, before it eventually decides to perch on their dresser.
What the fuck?
Sarah then decides to make her entrance.
Here comes the bride. To take your lives.
Damien and Helena's eyes widen as they realized who it was that just entered their room.
You're her.
Yes. I am. And you both are going to die. Just like my beloved husband.
Not tonight, bitch.
Helena responds as she pulls out her gun and shoots Sarah in the stomach, but both she and Damien watch in shock and disbelief when they see Sarah's bullet wound instantly heal.
Ouch. You 2 lovebirds wrecked my wedding.
Damien and Helena exchange glances, realizing they're outmatched. Damien lunges at Sarah, swinging his gun at her, but she easily ducks and disarms him.
You're pathetic. Just like her. And now, eye for an eye, motherfucker.
She says, pulling out the gun she took from Rocco. She fires a shot at Damien's right quad, disabling him.
Now, you're gonna run to your bosses and tell them what you've just seen.
And with that, Sarah aims the gun at Damien's forehead and delivers the kill shot.
I'd hurry if I were you. Before I end you right here. Right now.
Helena does as she told. She grabs Damien's car keys and runs out of the room. As she makes her way downstairs, Helena can hear Damien's brother Derek tease her.
Yo! Helena! What's wrong? Damien being too rough with you?
He jokes, but the panic-stricken woman ignores him as she makes her way outside and gets to Damien's car.
Shit! Come on! Start, damn it!
Helena whispers to herself as starts up Damien's car before making her way to Diablo and Ursula's safe house, not realizing that Sarah's crow was following her. Meanwhile, Sarah takes Damien's lifeless corpse and lays the dead man on his bed before taking out her pocket knife to carve a crow insignia on his torso. Afterwards, as she attempts to take her leave, Sarah can the sounds of doors opening and closing till finally she sees the bedroom door slowly opening. It's Phoenix making his way in, and as soon as he does, he sees Sarah.
You.
He shouts as he pulls out his gun, but Sarah runs towards the window and leaps out of it. Phoenix follows, but when he looks out of the window, he sees no sign of her. It's as if she's vanished out of thin air. Phoenix then checks on Damien to confirm that he's no longer alive and breathing. Sarah was walking out of the alleyway when a car pulls up to her.
Get in!
It's Albrecht who invites her into his car. Sarah takes him up for the ride, so she does as she was asked.
Where to next?
There's another bar. Across town. How did you know where I was?
I didn't. I just happened to be in the neighborhood. Since we have a bit of a drive, might be a good time to catch up.
Well, much like Eric before me, I was brought back to set the wrong things right. Guess I should be glad you couldn't make it to our wedding.
Look, I'd wanted to be there. I did. And maybe it's selfish of me. But after everything my ex-wife and I had gone through...
I know. I'm not upset with you. If anything happened to you...
I'm sorry, Sarah. For what happened to you. And your husband, Michael.
Yeah. Me too. But thanks. I appreciate it.
So, I've been meaning to ask. How do you manage to heal so fast? I meant to ask Eric during his time when he was on his mission.
It's the crow.
The crow?
It grants me powers. It healed me. Gave me strength.
And that's what happened to Eric.
That's exactly what happened with Eric.
Sarah replies as they pull up to the safe house.
Appreciate the ride.
Sarah says, but before she exits the car, she gives Albrecht a brief hug.
Good luck, Sarah. And be careful.
He tells her before leaving, and Sarah nods in acknowledgement. Meanwhile, there's a meeting going on with Helena describing the events that went down at Damien's apartment.
The bitch shot Damien right in front of me.
And she let you go. Just like that. When she could have easily done you in right then and there.
Sarah could be using her as bait, my love.
Diablo suggests as Phoenix enters the room.
She's not lying. I've caught the girl at the scene. I tried to shoot her, but she jumped out a window and disappeared into the night.
While the group was having their little powwow, Sarah was hanging out with her crow perched on her shoulder right outside on the balcony.
That's impossible.
It's that bird of hers.
We need to find her and finish this once and for all.
Phoenix says, as the group makes some calls for a big meeting. A few hours later, Diablo and Ursula's safe house was full of their closest allies. They discussing their plans for more destruction, murder, and other mayhem throughout the city. The group was also informed about Sarah's attacks on the gatekeepers, and speaking of Sarah, she chose the perfect moment to make her entrance by kicking in the balcony door, which gets everyone's attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't mind me, I saw myself in.
Sarah jokes before leaping onto the table the group was sitting at.
Now then, as you were.
She adds as her crow perches onto the power couple's bar.
So, you're the monkey wrench in my operation, huh?
Diablo asks while Ursula tried to go for the crow, who was too quick for the evil woman.
You got style, lady. I'll give you that. Although the face could use a little work.
Look. Diablo, is it? You look like a very smart man who can recognize a great deal when he hears one. So, tell you what. You surrender her to me.
Sarah points at Helena, who has the look of terror on her face.
So, I can take my leave, and leave you to your business. Win, win. Everyone goes home happy.
A very enticing offer, but no dice. Helena is family.
Then I guess I can't just leave you alone. But you should know. I'm not easy to deal with. So I hope every last bullet your friends waste on me is worth it.
Alright, enough of this horse shit. Kill her!
Diablo orders, and the group pulls out their firearms as Sarah does, as well pulling out Damien's pistol she had taken. During the bullet storm, Diablo, Ursula, and Phoenix make their way to the exit.
Come on, let's get to my car.
Phoenix tells the power couple as he helps them escape. Sarah had no trouble snuffing out every last thug, leaving only Helena alive who tried to flee, but Sarah grabs her by the hair, then pulls the woman back towards her.
Bet you're really regretting the fact that you've crashed my wedding, aren't you?
Look! I'm sorry, okay?
Sorry. You're sorry. I may be fortunate enough to be brought back. But sorry doesn't bring my husband back, now does it?
Sarah says she takes Helena to the balcony, and along the way she grabs a hanging chain and pulls it down.
Oh, you're sorry, all right.
Sarah says before punching Helena in the face, knocking her down and leaving her dazed. Sarah ties one end of the chain to the balcony's ledge before wrapping the other end around the last gatekeeper's neck. Sarah was able to latch Helena's end in place with the provided link before standing the woman up.
Nice night for a red wedding.
Sarah says very coldly, then plants a kiss on Helena's lips.
Here comes the bride.
Sarah starts to sing as she throws her enemy over the balcony. The force from the fall was enough to cause the chain to snap the last keeper's neck, killing her instantly, leaving her lifeless corpse hanging from the balcony hangman style. Suddenly, the police came storming into the safe house, rushing towards the balcony, but by the time they got there, Sarah had already disappeared into the night. Right when she reached the street, Albrecht pulls up, and she gets in the car.
Figured I'd wait for you.
Now I'm really glad you didn't come to the wedding.
So, where to now?
Take me home.
Meanwhile, in Phoenix's car, the group was planning on how they could finish Sarah off for good.
We need to take out that crow.
Well, first, we need to figure out where she's heading to next, babe.
I have an idea.
Moments later, Albrecht pulls up to the cemetery.
I'll stick around. Just in case.
Thanks, Albrecht.
Sarah says before she notices a familiar friendly figure standing by both her and Michael's graves. It was Brianna, who was startled at first by Sarah's footsteps, but was relieved to see her friend approaching her still alive. The two friends hold each other tightly as they share a few words.
You probably think I'm nuts being at a cemetery at this hour of the night.
A wise man once told me that it's the safest place in the world to be.
That's because everyone here is. Well, you know, I should be heading back anyway. I don't want James to worry.
Bree, wait.
Sarah says as she removes her jacket, folds it up, and places it on Michael's grave.
Much like that jacket there.
Sarah nods towards her jacket as she takes off her wedding band.
Michael gave me this once. And now I want you to have it.
She adds as she puts the ring on Brianna's finger.
For your big day. Please keep it safe. All right?
I promise.
Brianna says as she hugs Sarah again. The two friends exchange a final glance before Brianna bids Sarah goodbye, then takes her leave so Sarah can have her moment with Michael's grave.
I'll be home soon, Michael. I love you.
Sarah whispers before kneeling down and planting a kiss on his tombstone.
You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I wish I could go back. I wish I could undo everything. But I can't. So I'll do what I can to keep us together. Even if it's just in my heart.
Meanwhile, as Brianna was about to reach her car, the poor woman was snatched up by Phoenix, who takes her inside the nearby church. Phoenix leads her to the altar where Diablo and Ursula were waiting.
This is Sarah's friend Brianna.
Well, Brianna, if you wish to live to see another day, then I'm gonna need you to do me a favor. Alright?
Diablo instructs Sarah's friend so coldly. As Sarah's moment with Michael was interrupted by the sounds of her friend crying out for help, so she gets back to her feet and starts running towards the church. Albrecht sees Sarah rushing towards the church entrance, so he gets his gun and checks it, making sure it has a full clip attached inside the handle. Sarah walks into the church with her crow flying around the room before perching on one of the pews. It was then that Phoenix decides to take aim and fires a shot at the bird, which was hit in the back, causing its lifeless corpse to slump to the floor, dead.
What's wrong, Sarah? Feeling a little exposed?
He asks before firing a shot of his own at Sarah's left shoulder, which she felt almost immediately.
Oh. Fuck.
She mutters before falling to the ground.
Uh-oh. Looks like we're having some major malfunctions at the junction, aren't we, dead girl?
Diablo teases as he kicks Sarah in the stomach, causing the poor girl to roll over.
You know, I believe this is the look Damien said you had on your big day when my little gatekeepers delivered your wedding present. No need to thank me, by the way. That one's on me.
He adds before punching her in the face this time.
Yo, Phoenix, you want another shot at her?
With pleasure.
Phoenix responds as he takes aim, but right before he could take his next shot, he takes a shot to the head by Officer Albrecht, who ends up in a back-and-forth bullet war with Diablo till the evil gang leader runs out of ammo, causing him head up the bell tower, giving Albrecht and Sarah time plan their next move.
Talk about deja vu, huh?
Well, guess this is the part where you tell me you're no longer Supergirl, right?
Sarah nods as she shows Albrecht her injured shoulder.
All right. So what would Eric do this time around?
Well, he'd probably tell you to stay behind me this time.
All right. Ladies first.
After helping Sarah to her feet, Albrecht follows her lead. The two climb 2 flights of stairs before running into Ursula, who has Brianna as her hostage.
Not another step, or your little bestie here gets it.
Ursula warns as she holds a gun to Brianna's head. Suddenly, Albrecht pops up from behind Sarah, shooting Ursula right in her forehead, killing her instantly, allowing Brianna to toss the lifeless woman's body over the rail, causing her to drop from 2 floors up.
Bree. Stay with Albrecht. I still have to deal with Diablo.
Sarah, no. You're hurt. Please. Let us help you.
It's okay, Bree. I'll be back. I promise. Now go.
Brianna hesitantly does as she's told, knowing there's no point in arguing. Sarah, now on her own again, continues to climb the rest of the way up to the top of the bell tower. When she reaches the top, she exits out on the roof, where she sees Diablo waiting for her.
So, I guess this means you killed my girl and saved your little friend. Aw, how nice.
Come on, Diablo. Isn't this what you've wanted? Come at me, bro.
And with that, Diablo meets with Sarah face to face, and the two have an intense battle back and forth. Just when Sarah thought she had the fight won, she goes for her pocket knife, but while doing so, Diablo stabs her in the stomach twice, causing Sarah to not only lose her knife, but drop to her knees.
Well, well, well.
The arrogant mastermind teases as he begins to feel good about himself.
And after everything that led us to this point, I have to admit, I was expecting more from you. Although you do have spirit, I will give you that.
He continues to taunt Sarah as her life starts to slip away slowly.
What you got now, bitch? You have no weapons and no powers.
Sarah looks up at him with a sinister grin that baffles her enemy.
This.
She yells as she grips the sides of Diablo's head.
All the pain and suffering you put me through. You put my husband through. They say sharing is caring.
Sarah yells as she can feel the life leaving Diablo's body. She then throws his lifeless corpse off the church roof. He lands somewhere on the ground. The impact from the extreme height caused the back of his head to shatter open. Meanwhile, both Brianna and Albrecht are waiting inside, sitting on one of the front pews, waiting in anticipation for Sarah's return. After what felt like an eternity, they hear Sarah staggering into the room before she collapses on the floor, gasping for air.
Sarah.
Brianna shouts as she runs towards her friend. Brianna takes a seat on the ground before pulling Sarah up to hold in her arms.
Sarah, please. You can't leave us again.
Sarah, dear friend, pleads with tears streaming down her cheeks.
It's okay, Bree. It's all over. I love you, my friend.
Sarah manages to push out her last words before her eyelids flutter shut and her body goes limp in her friend's arms. Albrecht looks on with a heavy heart, unsure of what to do next. He stands up slowly and walks over to them, kneeling down beside them.
She was a good person. One of the sweetest girls I've ever known.
He whispers, tears running down his cheeks.
She saved all of our lives.
The three of them sit there in silence, holding each other as they mourn the loss of their friend, who was also their hero. Sarah was finally returned to her final resting place. Her grave looking untouched, like it was never disturbed. Her best friend Brianna with her boyfriend James, who were also being joined by Officer Albrecht, were gathered together to pay their respects to the once again dearly departed Sarah and her husband Michael. Sarah was able to set all the wrong things right during the limited time she had in the realm of the living, which brought peace to not only her, but her husband as well, proving to all of us that indeed true love really is stronger than evil can ever hope to be.
For me to take my last breath, Lord knows I'm nowhere near done yet. So much to be told from this old soul. So come on now, let's go. Not time for me to take my last breath. Lord knows I'm nowhere near done yet. So much to be told from this old soul. So come on now, let's go. Maybe down for now, but so far from out. I'm hitting milestone after milestone. Yeah, see. Coming into my own, stepping into my zone. Still got a ways to go. So far from perfection. Steady focus on the mission. Many failed relationships. Can't deny all the roles that I have to hold. Truth be told, as I get so old and grow so cold, many chapters have been closed. Some stuck in limbo, but I can't dwell though. Dark night riding solo, gotta roll with the flow. Weather through the storm so I can live my new norm. Kiss goodbye to my old form. I'm feeling reborn, shedding my symbiote. Like yo, this is it. I straight up had enough. It's time for me to rise up like a new phoenix. Not time for me to take my last breath. Lord knows I'm nowhere near done yet. So much to be told from this old soul. So come on now, let's go. Not time for me to take my last breath. Lord knows I'm nowhere near done yet. So much to be told from this old soul. So come on now.